The Dallas Cowboys have pulled off a move that nobody saw coming. They've traded Micah Parsons to the Green Bay Packers. In return, Dallas receives 2 first-round picks and veteran defensive tackle Kenny Clark. Now, let's be real here. Losing Parsons isn't just losing a player. It's losing a game changer. He's the kind of talent that comes along once in a generation, the type of defender who tilts the field every single snap. You don't replace Micah Parsons. You just hope to survive without him. But here's the other side of it. The Cowboys have been haunted for years by their inability to stop the run. Kenny Clark gives them a proven interior presence, strong, physical, and relentless in the trenches. He's the type of lineman who can swallow up double teams and still make the play. That's something Dallas has desperately needed. And when you look at the rest of the defensive front, there's still depth. Sam Williams, Dorrance Armstrong, Dante Fowler, all guys capable of stepping up and keeping the pressure alive on the edge. The Cowboys aren't left empty-handed. They're reshaping the defense. But let's not sugarcoat it. This trade hurts. It stings deep for Cowboys Nation. Parsons was supposed to be the face of this defense for the next decade. To see him wearing green and gold instead of the star? That's a gut punch. This is the gamble Dallas chose to make. 2 first-rounders and Kenny Clark for a generational star. Time will tell if it pays off, but today it feels like heartbreak. And just when you think this trade couldn't get more shocking, it's confirmed. The Cowboys get 2 first-round picks plus Kenny Clark. That's the package. Now the question is, what exactly are they getting in Clark? Turn on the tape, and you'll see why Dallas wanted him. He's versatile. He can line up at multiple spots across the interior and hold his ground against some of the most physical offensive lines in football. On film, you'll notice Clark playing in that 4 technique look right on the inside shoulder of the tackle. That versatility is priceless because it allows him to slide into different roles depending on the matchup. Watch how he controls the line of scrimmage. Clark isn't flashy, but he's powerful. He can two-gap, clogging the interior lanes, forcing running backs to hesitate, and then shedding the block to finish the play. There are snaps where the ball carrier has nowhere to go because Clark seals the gap completely. And that's the kind of presence Dallas has been desperate for. Over the past few seasons, opposing offenses have bullied the Cowboys in the run game. Clark may not be the single best run stopper in the league, but he's consistent, reliable, and battle-tested. Now think about him joining a front that already has young Mozzie Smith, plus rotational depth with players like Quinton Bahana and Osa Odigizua. Add Solomon Thomas into the mix, and suddenly this defensive tackle group looks more complete. Clark isn't a superstar, but he's the kind of steady interior enforcer that raises the floor of an entire defense. That's why the Cowboys made this move. They're not just adding a name. They're adding muscle to the middle, something this team has lacked for years. When you look at this Cowboys defensive line, the addition of Kenny Clark immediately changes the tone. Osa Odigizua finally gets a reliable partner inside, and that's huge. Clark brings the size, the strength, and the mentality this group has been missing. Think about the depth across this line. You've got Osa, Clark, Sam Williams, Dante Fowler, Dorrance Armstrong, and even young players who can rotate in. It's not Micah Parsons. Nobody replaces that level of dominance. But this front still has teeth. It still has fight. Flip on the film, and you'll see why Dallas made the move. On one snap, Clark takes the guard and drives him 4 yards into the backfield, blowing up Joe Mixon's run before it even had a chance. That's raw power. That's the kind of muscle Dallas has needed for years. Too often, this defense was gashed up the middle. Too often, they broke down in the trenches. Clark is the kind of player who can finally put a stop to that. Of course, the big question remains. Can the edge rushers step up? Losing Parsons means the pressure has to be shared. Williams, Fowler, Armstrong, these guys have to turn potential into production. Dallas doesn't need all of them to become stars, but they need 2 or 3 to deliver consistently. If that happens, this defense will hold together. So yes, it hurts. It hurts bad to lose a generational star. But with Clark anchoring the middle, the Cowboys gain something they've lacked for years: toughness up front. He's not flashy. He's not going to rack up headlines. But he's going to win battles in the trenches. And in the NFL, that's where games are decided. Kenny Clark isn't just a run stopper. He may not rack up double-digit sacks, but don't underestimate his ability to get after the quarterback. He's not a one-dimensional player. He can push the pocket, collapse the interior, and when the defense dials up the right blitz package, he knows how to finish the job. Look at the tape. There are moments where Clark gets that one-on-one against a guard, uses his leverage, and shoots through for the sack. It's not flashy, it's workmanlike. But that's exactly what you need from an interior lineman. Pressure up the middle rattles quarterbacks more than anything, and Clark has proven he can bring it. Now, let's be real about expectations. He's not going to put up gaudy sack numbers. Don't expect 5, 6, or 7 sacks in a season. What you can expect is consistency, a handful of sacks, plenty of run stops, and the kind of dirty work that makes life easier for everyone around him. That's the value Clark brings. He doesn't need to be the star of the show. He just needs to be the anchor. Someone who plays multiple roles across the defensive front, plugs holes, disrupts plays, and lets the linebackers and edge rushers fly around. And that's exactly what Dallas has been missing. Flip on the tape again, and Kenny Clark shows you exactly why the Cowboys wanted him. On one snap, he reads the running back from the start, disengages from the block, and makes the stop in the backfield. That's control. That's dominance at the point of attack. Plays like that are what Dallas has been missing on the interior for years. And here's the bigger picture. Look at the numbers from last season. Dallas was near the bottom of the league in some of the most critical defensive categories. 31st in points allowed per game, 28th in yards allowed per game, 30th in points per play, dead last in red zone defense, 31st in touchdowns allowed per game. For a team with championship ambitions, those numbers are brutal. Now, here's the crazy part: their pass defense was actually elite. They ranked second in the NFL in sack percentage. That shows you the story. The Cowboys could rush the passer, but they couldn't stop teams from pounding the ball between the tackles or finishing drives in the red zone. That's why Kenny Clark matters so much. He's not just another body in the middle. He's a proven veteran who can hold the line, free up the linebackers, and give this defense a fighting chance to balance out what has been a lopsided unit. Yes, Micah Parsons was the engine behind this defense. His presence changed everything: collapsing pockets, forcing turnovers, striking fear into quarterbacks. But even with Parsons playing at a superstar level, the Cowboys were still soft against the run. Look at the numbers. 28th in yards allowed per rush, 29th in rushing yards allowed per game, 32nd in rushing touchdowns allowed. Bottom of the league across the board. This team couldn't stop anybody on the ground. And when you can't stop the run, it doesn't matter how dominant your pass rush is. Offenses stay balanced, they stay unpredictable. They dictate the game. That's why Kenny Clark matters. Dallas didn't just need another pass rusher, they already had plenty. Sam Williams, Dorrance Armstrong, Dante Fowler. They can all get after the quarterback. But none of them are built to control the trenches and stuff the run. That's where Clark comes in. And let's be real, this isn't about one player saving the day. You can have Parsons, you can have Myles Garrett, but if the rest of the defense can't hold its ground, you're not going to win championships. Football is won when 11 guys play as one. Dallas has leaned too heavily on Parsons for too long. Now they've added a true interior enforcer. Clark may not erase the pain of losing Parsons, but he gives this defense something it hasn't had in years: toughness in the middle. This is the piece that could finally make their front seven whole.